say right up front that I'm not going to be getting into all of the meta, big crunchy numbers, armor pen statistics, all of that shit. This isn't going to be for all the massive sweats out there, basically, is what I'm saying. So, what I'm going to be doing is just going to be running through what I found works out best for me, for my play style, and most importantly, what I found to be fun. So, really quick, I want to talk about how I play the game, my play style, because that plays a big part in my loadout and what I'm doing with it. Uh, I don't really have a consistent group of people that I play with. I do uh, mostly solo missions. I just drop in with randoms most of the time. I do have a couple of people that I play with, but 90% of the time I'm playing either solo or dropping in with randoms. Um, which is great. I love doing it. It's honestly one of my biggest draws to this game is how good the community is and has been. You can find a lot of really cool people, but the drawback to dropping in with randoms is that you can't really establish the party roles that you normally would with a group that you play with all the time. So you kind of need to just be prepared for everything. So you want to go in with like a really well-rounded loadout, something that can take care of anything that you might come up against. All right, so with all that out of the way, let's jump right into it. So we're going to start off with my primary. And I just want to get this out of the way right at the beginning. I love this primary. It might not be like the meta or whatever like that, but in my opinion, it's absolutely the best primary in the game. That's going to be the exploding crossbow. Um, Again, I'm not going to say that this is the best weapon in the games. It does have a very limited clip size. Its reload time is not ideal, but for my play style, it just works. And here's why. First and foremost, just absolute utility. The versatility of this weapon is crazy. It can do so much. Um, from closing bug holes to popping open shipping containers, digging up samples that are buried underground. It can take out shrieker nests and spore spewers. You know, it's just the versatility of it alone makes it really just kind of a no-brainer for me. I mean, and with things like the Shrieker's Nest and whatnot, it's gonna take you like three full clips to do it. Um, but it's got such an incredible range on it that it doesn't matter how many clips it takes because you could stand halfway across the map, and as long as you can see the Shrieker Nest, if you aim your shot right, you will be able to hit it. Now you can be, miles away in perfect safety, and be able to take out these objectives. Same thing with the illegal broadcasts. You can get those from very far away. So it's just an all around utility weapon. It has a lot of uses, and above all, I'm going to keep coming back to this. It is just so damn fun to use. When you have a bug breach happening and there's just piles of bugs just coming out, or when you're dealing with like a flesh mob on the Illuminate, whatever, you just start firing that crossbow at it, and just you start seeing the numbers fly up and the bodies explode. It's great. It's a good time. The sound effects are satisfying. The feedback, if you're playing on a controller, which I do, I play on PS5, so it's just a very satisfying, fun weapon that offers a ton of versatility and a ton of utility. Again, the drawbacks to it are, you know, it's got a small clip size. It's I think 5 shots per clip, and the reload time on it's not ideal. That being said, I've spent about 300 hours with this weapon, and it when you learn to manage the clip size correctly, it becomes very much less of an issue because if you're placing your shots well, you don't need more than 5 shots to get yourself out of any kind of trouble that you're going to find yourself in. So, the cost benefit analysis, I guess if you want to call it, it comes out on the beneficial side for me. It is capable of taking out super heavies. Like you can take out the impalers if you wait for them to stick their face down in the ground. If you, I think it well-placed shot. I think it's less than a clip, and you can kill an impaler with it. A couple like if you get right underneath of a bile titan, uh, it can do it. You need to be lucky, and it takes quite a few shots. But I mean, if you're out of other options, like if nobody on your team has something to deal with it, if your stratagems are on cooldown, whatnot, it can do it. And for me, the having a primary weapon that's not taking up a stratagem slot, it's not taking up a backpack slot, whatever. Just a basic primary that is capable of taking out super heavies. I mean, I don't think you can beat that. So, um, yeah. So primary weapon, exploding crossbow. I think it's kind of a no-brainer, especially if you're going to be doing solo runs or running maps with people that you don't know. That way, you can guarantee that you're going to have the utility that you need. All right, one other thing that I want to mention with this weapon, though, as another drawback, and it's not really the fault of the weapon itself so much. I mean, kind of is, but ultimately it comes down to user error, and that is you're going to kill yourself with this weapon a lot. Particularly at the beginning when you're getting used to it, getting used to its explosive range, how far away something has to be before you can safely shoot at it. Um, it's going to happen a lot, and it is a drawback. You're going to end up killing yourself. You're going to end up killing your teammates. So, if you want to get used to this weapon, if you want to get good with it, I would definitely recommend putting on a private game, jumping in only with people that you know, or just starting on like super easy levels just to get a feel for the weapon for a couple hours before you start using it in real dives. Just because it does have a different play style. You have to be a little bit more conscious of what you're shooting at, where you're shooting it. It does have a big range, so like when you're better with the weapon, it's great for clearing out like crowd control. It's excellent at crowd control. But at the beginning, you got to get a feel for like, oh no, that crowd's too close to me. If I shoot that, it's gonna blow me and everybody that I love sky high. So that is kind of a drawback, but I mean, definitely with a little practice, it negates the negative on that. So ultimately, the weapon's just baller. Give it a try. It's a ton of fun. All right, so with the crossbow for the primary out of the way, what are we going to be taking for my second weapon, for my primary weapon? So, what we're going to be doing for that, I know that as soon as I say it, you're just going to be like, oh, what? Hear me out. The stalwart. It is, I know it's one of the first guns that you get in the game. It's super basic, but that consistency, the fact that it's that basic, it's reliable. It's got a huge clip size. It's got, the reload time on it sucks. Let's be honest, but the clip size on it is so large, and you got the medium armor penetration. So, I think overall, it's just a really good choice, especially if you're taking the exploding crossbow as your primary, because that does limit uh, being able to fire in close range. So if you're in a tight spot, you don't want to fire off your exploding crossbow. You just go ahead and switch over to your stalwart, and you can take out smaller enemies, some medium enemies, and whatnot, and basically use it to clear yourself a hole. So you can get out, turn around, and fire the crossbow back in, and really do that damage that you're looking for. But in a tight spot, it's just a great, reliable stalwart weapon. So it does get, I think, left on the cutting room floor a lot for a lot of people's loadouts, and I think that's just because everybody's super familiar with it at this point. And kind of just passing it over because yeah, I think it is the first one of the first stratagems that you get in the whole game. So um, don't sleep on it though. And again, it's pretty fun to use. It's got nice feedback. It is a fun weapon. It's just a little basic, but definitely give that a shot, especially in conjunction with the crossbow. The two really have a nice synergy with each other. They work well off each other. All right, so let's talk about an answer to super heavies. Uh, this might be a somewhat controversial pick. I know a lot of people are going to advocate for the recoilless rifle, but with the recoilless rifle, you got to wait for it to drop in. You got to aim. You got to, there's the reload on it. If you miss, I think it. What I found works best for me is the orbital rail cannon strike. It calls in super fast. You don't got to wait around for it. It automatically is going to target whatever the biggest threat in your area is, and it pretty much with laser consistency is going to take it out. Now the biggest drawback there is if you got like a couple of super heavies wandering around on the map, it might target the wrong one, and then you got to wait. I think like a minute and a half, maybe a little bit longer for the cooldown on it to reset, which sucks. Granted, and but it is nice that it's an unlimited stratagem. You can use it as many times as you can fit in 40 minutes. But if you're dealing with like 3 or 4 Bile Titans at the same time, or two different types of super heavies, and there's one in particular that's causing you trouble, and it targets the wrong one, you're kind of up shit's creek. At that point, you kind of gotta hope that whoever you're dropped in with is going to have a different answer for the super heavies, or like I said earlier, your primary weapon will do it. If they're really harassing you, if they're really getting on you, and you can't shake them, and the orbital rail cannon doesn't do the trick for you, you can jump in there with the exploding crossbow and you know hope for the best. By hope for the best, I mean get good. Because if you are good with it, you can do it. There's just a talent curve to consider. All right, next up, I want to talk about the shield generator backpack. Now, I always take the shield generator. I know that there are a lot of great backpack options. A lot of people go with the guard dogs, which are fine. I've used them. It's just in my experience, they'll be shooting me just as often as they're shooting the enemy. And I know you can learn their movements, get out of their way, whatnot. But ultimately, I kind of think they're more trouble than they're worth. Um, I go with the shield generator backpack because, and I'll talk about this a little bit more later, I tend to run light armor. And if you're running light armor, you really need that extra level of protection, because even smaller and medium enemies can one or two shot you in light armor without the extra protection. The other benefit of um, the shield generator backpack is when you're running the exploding crossbow, because as I said before, you will blow yourself up a lot with it. And also, like I said before, I have about 300 hours with this weapon, and I still blow myself up with it. But if you're running with the shield generator backpack, you get a little bit of buffer zone. You can make a mistake, and it's not going to, uh, you know, it's not going to kill you one shot. So you basically get a free hit off of yourself. So yeah, it definitely pays for its slot in your stratagem loadout, I think. Um, all right, and then lastly, the last one that I'm taking with me, it's really going to depend on the difficulty that I'm dropping into. It's going to depend on the planet more particularly. But it's either going to be the Gatlin Sentry or the Emancipator Exosuit. Now, with the Gatlin Sentry, especially if you're running solo, the Gatlin Sentry plays really nicely with the exploding crossbow. Like, say you're going in to take out a bug nest, medium or heavy, any bug nest really. Now you want to run in there and close those bug holes as quickly as possible, and obviously you're going to use the exploded crossbow to do that. But if you run in there and you got 60, 70 bugs running on your tail, you're not going to have time to make those shots. You're going to be focusing. So obviously drop the excuse me, drop the Gatlin sentry like right on the edge of the bug nest, and it's going to be just like perfect backup cover fire for you to get in there and do what you need to do and get that bug hole closed. Now, on higher difficulties, that's going to change up. Pretty much anything like 7 or above. The Gatlin Sentry, it's still useful, but it's not as useful. So consider taking the exosuit, because with the exosuit, you're probably only going to get, you know, one heavy nest out of it. It'll probably be toast after that. But with between the melee attack that it has, which can do a lot of damage, it can kill multiple enemies in close range. So it's good for crowd control. I mean, you can use the exosuit itself to close the bug holes, and it's going to give you all of that extra protection. To so you can kind of ignore being swarmed. Now, this is going to be a little bit different for bots, for sure. But I think it's still more or less the same, more or less the same strategy. This loadout, I would like to mention, is mostly geared towards bug diving. I'll do a second video about bots and Illuminate, and it will probably be just kind of a tweak of this loadout, honestly, because it is a pretty well loaded, pretty well rounded loadout for the different factions. I mean, the biggest change that I would make on this, if I was going to fight bots instead of bugs, would probably be that instead of taking the stalwart, I would be taking the anti-material rifle. I find that being able to stand back and pop off bot heads from a safe distance tends to be a pretty good strategy with that. So, but in any event, for mostly for bug diving and for this loadout, I would say either the Gatlin or the Emancipator. And the other thing with the Emancipator is if you're dropping into any Gloom worlds, anywhere you're going to run into the dragon roaches, the Emancipator is pretty much a necessity. Like, you're just not going to survive the dragon roaches without it. There's other ways to deal with them. Again, the orbital rail cannon. But with the orbital rail cannon, unless you wait for them to be stationary, because they do have a flight pattern, they'll do an attack run, and after their attack run, they'll hover for a few seconds, and you have to hit them with the rail cannon during that hovering part of their pattern. And otherwise, the rail cannon will probably miss them. So, with that being said, the Emancipator, you can just spin with it, blah, 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 blast it out of the air, and it's really your best option for dealing with dragon roaches consistently. So, one of those two options for your last stratagem, I think, is going to be a perfectly reasonable loadout that's going to get you a pretty much answer to everything that you're going to need up until about level 7. Somewhere around there. I think a loadout like this is gonna take you a long way. Now, I play max level. I play super hell dive with this loadout. But I think part of that's just because I'm super used to this loadout at this point. But it might not work for everybody on the higher levels. For me, it does though. All right, so a couple more things. Grenades. I think the grenades is kind of an obvious pick. Thermites. I think everybody can basically agree that the thermite grenade is just kind of the S tier grenade of the game. I mean, you don't gotta aim with it. You don't gotta time it. You just stick it and forget it. It's I mean, with any of the heavies that you're dealing with, if it doesn't matter if it's bots or bugs or Illuminate, you just drop a thermite on them and you can just turn around and run. You don't need to stick around. If as long as you see it start to sparkle on them, you know it's taking them out. So it's just, I think it's just kind of a no brainer. And also, I mean, you can still do the other grenade stuff with it. You can take out bug holes. You can open bunkers or whatever. I mean, I prefer not to waste my grenades on anything like that, especially considering I'm running with the exploding crossbow, which can do all of those things, and it leaves my grenade stock for dealing with the heavies. For your booster, I like to go with the experimental infusion. So there's two really good options, either stamina or experimental infusion. Now, generally speaking, if you're dropping in with other people, somebody's going to take the stamina booster already. And uh, if you're dropping in by yourself, the stamina booster is nice to have if you're trying to do runs fast. But if you're actually trying to run a game and do the objectives, the experimental infusion, I think, is just again, I keep saying I think it's a no-brainer because especially considering it gives you a massive speed boost when you first inject it, and also it gives you an invulnerability window, which it's tight, but like if you're getting completely swarmed and you hit that stim pack, you got like a couple of seconds to jump out of the way, at least enough to recover your footing, turn around, and get a couple of shots off. So it really is a second lease on life. So that's what I always run with. I run with one of those two. Pretty much, it always the experimental infusion. The only time I run with the stim pack instead is if I'm like doing super low level, like super credit hunts or any kind of farming thing like that. I'll do stamina boost. But if I'm playing any like actual missions, it's always going to be that. So, all right, now, so last of all, we're going to talk about armor. It's a couple of equally good choices for this build. Um, Again, it kind of depends on where I'm dropping in, what I'm doing. Really, the main factor in me deciding between these two is if I'm going to be dealing with dragon roaches, honestly. So if I am dealing with the dragon roaches, I'm going to go with the AC2 Obedient because it does the 50% damage reduction all around. So, or not damage reduction, excuse me. It does the 50% resistance to all types of damage, which is so gas, fire, um, explosive. So with the dragon roaches, where they do chemical and fire damage, if you're not running an armor that gives you this extra, buffer for damage types, they're gonna one shot you pretty much every time. And when they first released the dragon roaches, it took me a while to figure that out. At least a day and a half. That without an armor specifically designed to deal with their damage type, not amount, but damage type. Like I was failing, level 5 missions against them. So with the AC2 Obedient, that's kind of where I go. Now, if pretty much any other drop, and this other armor that I'm going to talk about is much more specific towards this loadout as opposed to dealing with a particular enemy. And the other armor that I like to take is the SR-24 Street Scout. The reason for that is it gives you the bonus reload speed and increased ammo. So the bonus reload speed is for your primary weapon. I think it's 20% faster to reload your primary, which with the crossbow negates a lot of the crossbow's drawbacks, like a lot. And it also increases all ammo across the board. So like it also helps with your stalwart since the stalwart does have a pretty long reload animation. The less you have to reload with it, the better. And yeah, so the Street Scout is an excellent option. And it's a light armor, so you get the extra stamina. But when again, if you're taking the shield generator backpack, then you don't really need to worry about that extra armor reduction. All right, so there you have it. That is my basic go-to loadout for most situations. Now, it's not going to cover everything, depending on difficulty, on mission type, on what I'm looking to do when I drop in. Depending on if I'm doing like a super credit hunt or if I'm trying to farm some medals or anything like that. It's going to cause me to tweak or change the loadout, and I will upload some videos later on, kind of going over what those changes would be depending on the mission and what I think works best for different mission types. But in the meantime, that's going to be my just kind of baseline workhorse loadout. So give it a try. Let me know what you think of it down in the comments. If you guys got any like tips or tricks for me, let me know about those in the comments. Anything that you think would improve this build, I'm definitely down to try. Again, I'm no professional by any means at this, but so I'm still learning, still looking for new stuff to try out, and yeah. Also, make sure that you give me a like and a subscribe, and don't forget to check out my Twitch, where I'm going to be streaming pretty much every day. Is the plan right now. I'm still working out a solid schedule for my Twitch stream, but I am going to be streaming there. Helldivers 2, obviously. So make sure you give that a check. And once again, I am the Blue Freaking Kid, and I will see you guys out in the gloom.